Namaste. Om Bhurabhuva Swaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Deva Shadhimahi Dhiyo Yodha Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Brothers and sisters, this evening we're here again, and this time we're looking at Arya Samaj Foundation Day. The Arya Samaj was established on the 10th of April by Maharishi Swami Dayananda Saraswati. In establishing the Arya Samaj, Swamiji said, "I have not come to preach a new dogma or religion, nor to establish a new religious order, nor to be proclaimed a new Messiah or Pontiff. I have only brought before my people the light of Vedic wisdom, which has been hidden during the centuries of India's thraldom." When Maharishi Swami Dayananda Saraswati Ji established the Arya Samaj in Mumbai, he had, and it is still there today, the motto, the theme under which Arya Samaj operate, Krinavanto Vishwam Aryam, making the universe noble. Swamiji, during his experience prior to the establishment of the Arya Samaj, realized that only a minute fraction of the world was enjoying the status of a noble existence. Noble not in the sense of kings and queens and the aristocrats, but noble in the sense that some people were enlightened, they were learned, and they could have earned a living. But the aim of and the vision of this Vedic scholar was to move towards the total enlightenment of human society. And in establishing the Arya Samaj, he laid down 10 foundation stones upon which Arya Samaj stands. One of these foundation stones, the sixth of the 10 foundation stones, or principles of Arya Samaj, says to do good to the whole world is the main object of this Samaj. That is, to improve physically, spiritually, and socially. So the vision of Maharishi Swami Dayananda in establishing the Arya Samaj was to move the world forward and to move human society forward on the road of development, physically, spiritually, and socially. If we look at the spiritual deficit at the time when Swamiji worked towards establishing Arya Samaj, religion in India, for example, was based on superstitious acts and beliefs. Of course, we know that superstition takes hold in the lives of people when they do not have an explanation for a change or a phenomenon that is occurring. But for every phenomenon that takes place in human society, Swamiji indicated that there is an explanation in Vedas. And so the first move of Arya Samaj was in the removal of these superstitions by bringing to focus in the life of people the light of Vedic wisdom. It is only when we have removed the superstition from our life and we can logically explain the happenings in our society, in our life, in our world, that we begin to move towards the spiritual evolution of ourselves. And this was the main goal of Swamiji in establishing Arya Samaj, when he said, Krinavantu Vishwam Aryam, making the universe noble. It is only when the human soul begins its evolution from a status of ignorance to one with the light of wisdom, torching the way in its mobility, its upward mobility, that it becomes spiritually evolved. Today, we see that our world revolves upon scientific principles. And I can tell you that the scientific principles that we have to explain the happenings in the world today and in our lives, they have originated from the pages of Vedas, from Vedic science and Vedic wisdom. And all this were made possible and available to us through the establishment of Arya Samaj, which has not only reformed the practice of Satya Sanatana Vedic Dharma from 4,000 years ago to today, but it has reformed human society and the education process for human beings. My brothers and sisters, one of the other principles, the third principle, says that a Veda is a scripture of all true knowledge. Reading, teaching, hearing, and reciting the Veda is the first duty of all Aryas. The Vedas came from God. It was knowledge revealed at the dawn of creation by God to the enlightened souls that took birth into this world at that time. And therefore, the Vedas has all true knowledge. Any knowledge that comes from God is a true knowledge. It is our duty, therefore, to ensure that this knowledge, this true knowledge, is emanated and dispersed throughout human society. And this is why Maharishi Dayanand empowered all those who decided to be of the Arya Samaj to work towards this end. It is only when every human soul acquires this true knowledge from Vedas that our world moves towards nobility. Coincidentally, when the Arya Samaj was established on the 10th of April, it was the period of observance of Ramnoumi, the birth anniversary of Bhagwan Sri Ram. Those of us who have followed our ancient scriptures and cultural texts and our heritage would know that Sri Ramchandra was on this world, on this earth, since the very ancient days. His life is an example of idealism. Sri Ram was the ideal human being whose very life was founded upon honesty, truth, integrity. And his life was founded upon honesty, truth, and integrity because of his Vedic wisdom, his religious persuasion, his democratic nature as a king in his days. He was just, kind, loving, benevolent, merciful. He showed the qualities of God in his ruling and interaction with the young and the old, with the citizens of his kingdom, with his neighboring states. He was loved by all, and he loved all. Sri Ram was looked upon as an ocean of love and mercy. He was amongst the very true and first Aryas to walk this earth. And the very principles laid down by Maharishi Swami Dayananda as the foundation, the cornerstone rocks upon which Arya Samaj stands, those very principles were propagated by Bhagwan Sri Ram. His task was to rid the world of evil and to allow yajna to be performed in a peaceful atmosphere. The work of the Arya Samaj is to dispel the darkness of ignorance and to replace it with the light of wisdom, of Vedic wisdom. So, as we celebrate Arya Samaj Foundation Day, we also celebrate the birth anniversary of Bhagwan Sri Ram. The very principles upon which we stand were the principles propagated by this great soul that once walked among men, that made great sacrifices. And Arya Samaj is about sacrifices. For in one of the principles, Maharishi Swami Dayananda said that it is our duty to perform selfless actions, selfless duties. An epitome of the example of selfless duty was shown by Bhagwan Sri Ram. Whatever he did during his lifetime, he did not attach a gain for himself, but whatever he did was for the gain of humanity. And parallel to him, parallel to those actions, Maharishi Swami Dayanand, in his lifetime, he performed selfless duty to serve humanity. Brothers and sisters, regardless of what our persuasion is, it is our inner self that calls upon us to perform selfless duties. Mahatma Gandhi said, the most important thing in our existence is not whether we are a good Christian or a good Muslim or a good Hindu, but the most important thing is that all of us must remain good human beings to each other. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.